What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my very smooth and grooving co-host, Josh and John Luke. What's up, guys?
What up?
Feeling wavy today. I'm feeling good. Feeling the vibes. Let's go.
You know it's going to be a good show when within 3 seconds we get a noise from Josh that goes like,
yeah, an involuntary.
Yeah, that just means the show is going to be good. Guys, also joining us today, we have a very special guest here with us for Mock Draft Monday. We've got Justin Henry with us. For those of you that do not know Justin, he's on Twitter at Justin Henry. Just replace that E with a 3. It's right there below his face on the screen. So make sure you guys go follow him over there. He is an NBA and NFL betting and sports content creator over at FanDuel. And you can find him on TikTok at the Fantasy Gods.
Fantasy Gods.
GAWDS. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
You know, I'm here. Part of the wave, baby. Let's get
Part of the way. Let's go.
Trade Drive Crew. Hey, I know the Trade Drive Crew was in the comments. I'm back, baby, showing some love. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to the 3-5 crew. You know how to get the audience on your side early. We got Craig in here ready for today's show. So another Justin credible guest on FYF to start the week.
A 2-word pun.
Simple yet elegant.
Disjunctive. Yeah.
Also, Twit said happy late Father's Day to Simon and any other fathers of the FYF crew. You know what? I'm going to address this very seriously because I don't know if this is a joke or not. I am not a father, and I'm not even going to add that I'm aware of. I am not a father. So if it's a joke, that's very funny. If it's not a joke, I just wanted to let you know. No kids over here. It's just a dog in this house, and he didn't even wish me happy.
I imagine it was a very serious comment, considering that it happened in our chat.
Oh yeah, nothing but serious comments in our chat. And Jordan said, anytime Simon is the promo picture, I just have to take part in it.
Love it.
You know what? I have that effect on people. It was the same. It was why I did so good on Tinder, right? Whenever they saw my picture, they just had to take part in it. We've got Scott Fish in here as well. Says this is the worst 3 p.m. Eastern time fantasy football game show on YouTube that has multiple hosts whose names start with a J and does mocks on Mondays. I have looked. I literally haven't found any worse.
I would love to see the keyword that you searched to find this.
I was actually just thinking that. He's like, I think you just literally typed that
entire thing. Yeah.
It's like,
there's nothing.
The only thing that came up was Front Yard Fantasy.
Yeah. So. What the heck?
This comment section. I love this comment section right now. This is gold.
Now, Scott's doing my job for me. I'm just going to.
Hey, all welcome in.
Today, we'll be doing a Mock Draft Monday. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks, Scott. You're the man. You're doing Simon's job. We don't need him.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I did not mean to remove myself. I was down there reading it out loud in my ears, and I was like, why is Josh reading it at the same time? Other Scott, what's up? Welcome in. Glad to have you in here today. And Maria said, Scott, you could totally make a better. Let's have warring FF fantasy shows, Scott. Make one at 3 p.m. And then we'll just sick the winners on each other right after.
So he already has the S for Simon. He'll be the host. Now you just got to find two J guys.
Shouldn't be hard.
You know, there's an extra one right here.
Right here. Literally.
Extra one right here.
There you go. Scott, you got your first J right here. Speaking of J's, this J says, let's go. It's not a game today, but Justin is going to win anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I got some confidence for you, Justin.
Jay, what's good, man?
Debatable. I don't know, Justin. We'll see at the end of this, but I'm feeling pretty confident.
As good as I am in game shows, I'm actually better at mock drafting. So, I mean, you guys already lost.
Hey, Justin, remind me, did you win when you came on our game show?
I have won before.
You have
won. Yeah,
just check it.
That's all you need to say. You won.
I had to have you guys have me back, so I had to let somebody else win that last time.
Yeah, that
was really nice of you.
Yeah,
we have very fragile egos, so if we lose too much, we stop inviting people.
Self-esteem is at an all-time low.
It's just terrible here. Mr. Scampers, what's up? Hola, FYF fam. Welcome into our favorite chat. And then in here also, we've got Scott Cove. I believe we already said hi, but did Scott tell Simon about that woman that contacted you about Simon being the dad? She reached out to me. It was a different Simon. It was a mix-up. It was the chipmunk, actually. But that mix-up happens quite often. Swamp Nola, what's up? Welcome in.
Swampy?
Glad to have you here. And we got Come Here Now in here as well, saying JL has to move to Memphis. Sorry, JL.
Come here now.
All right.
Came in. Let's go.
Those are the rules.
We're moving to Memphis.
Wait, why Memphis? Did I miss something?
It's just what they said. And Z2 is here for class. Welcome in, Z2. You're a little late, but we'll let it slide because we're the cool teacher.
Speaking of Memphis, I did a Calvin Austin video. He played at Memphis.
He did.
TikTok. Check it out. You know?
Check it out.
I'm pretty excited for him.
Guys,
Calvin
today like I mentioned, we brought Justin on here to do a mock draft. We're going to go ahead and get started with that. But before we do that, a couple reminders. Number one.
We're moving to Memphis.
Sorry, we're not moving to Memphis.
Sorry, come here now. Guys, the first thing is if you are not already following our friend Justin on Twitter, go and fix that right now. He's on Twitter at Justin Henry. Replace that E with a 3. It is right there below his face on the screen. After you do that, if you're watching this video, that means you're already on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and hit that like button on this video and subscribe to our channel at Front Yard Fantasy. It is the easiest way to show your support for what we're doing over here. And if we get enough likes, then maybe Scott will start his own channel, I think. That's what's going to happen, right? His own competing show. It'll be a proof of concept for him if this one, like if the worst one gets enough likes, then that best one's probably going to work even better. Guys, are you ready to get into our mock draft? JL, you are commentating today.
Let's go.
Do you want to share the screen or do you want me to throw it up there?
I guess I can. I didn't know that I was going to be asked that question, but I will do it.
There we go. Guys, while JL's getting that ready, I'll remind everyone we are doing a tight end premium redraft mock draft today. So this is going to be a redraft league, not dynasty, just a fresh year, 1 year, this year only, one quarterback. And what tight end premium means, for those of you that have not played or are unaware, it's like standard PPR. All positions are going to get 1 point per reception every time they catch the ball, but tight ends are going to get an additional half point. So it's basically 1.5 PPR for tight ends, 1 for everybody else. It just makes the position a little bit more valuable. Maybe makes those top end guys worth a little bit more. We'll see how it affects this draft. And just one last reminder, Sleeper does not have a setting for tight end premium in these mock drafts. So the tight ends are likely going to be drafted well ahead of their ADP by people that are paying attention. Just something to keep in mind. You can't necessarily trust where they are on that list as to whether or not they're going to be available at your next pick.
All right. Ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Use your brain, guys. Use your brain.
I think Come Here Now is the first pick. Nope.
Oh, man,
I am not scrolled over, am I?
That's Jordan. That's Jordan.
And
he's going CMC first.
Whoa.
He's going CMC.
Here we go. CMC first.
Guys.
You know, I had two thoughts when he did that. One, my first thought was, oh, he's a Panthers fan. But then I took another step back. Jordan's also incredibly smart. And Josh, you've said this before, and I'm coming around more and more on it. If all running backs in the NFL play 17 games this year, a fully healthy 17 games, my money's on Christian McCaffrey to be the top scoring running back, like the number 1 overall running back if they play all of them. So I don't hate the pick. I'm not mad about CMC
you have
first
to build
overall.
it in, though, man. You got to build in the injury risk when it comes to him. He hasn't played. He hasn't played consistently over that time. And so if you want your fantasy team in the fantasy playoffs, which is the most important aspect of fantasy, obviously, is those 3 weeks or 2 weeks, however you play it. You got to have a healthy player. And I'm not banking on that number 1.
Who are you taking first overall, Justin?
I think it depends. For me, I'm probably going with Cooper Kupp in PPR leagues, and then in standard leagues, going with Jonathan Taylor.
What about half?
Half point. I would still err on the side of caution and go Cooper Kupp, just because I feel like the receiver position is less like the injuries are less likely. Jonathan Taylor had a brutal load last year. I think receivers are a little bit safer, and Cooper Kupp, man, he just has that relationship with Matt Stafford. So I would say Cooper Kupp first overall, PPR and half PPR leagues.
I like it. I like it.
I know that makes Josh happy.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, Christian McCaffrey is my highest projected player because I'm projecting him for 17 games. Like I said, Simon alluded to it. I would not draft him as the first person off the board. After that, it's Cooper Kupp, number 2. After that, it's Jonathan Taylor, number 3. So I'm right there in line with Justin when it comes down to in PPR. That's what I have projected. Christian McCaffrey, though, has, I guess, the most upside out of anyone in the NFL, but a much more unsafe floor. That's why I couldn't take him with the first pick. Yeah.
And Justin taking Travis Kelce, the first pick, your 5th pick. Was that a no-brainer for you, Justin, or were you sweating over it?
No, tight end premium, it was a no-brainer, especially being here in these middle rounds. I wanted to secure one of the top tight ends, and with Tyreek Hill gone, Kelce's going to be overloaded with targets in a prime year for him. I expect Travis Kelce to do big things, whether it's tight end premium or not. The premium just made the decision easier. I could see him getting 90 to 100 catches. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I hate this pick.
Josh, you were on the clock.
Yeah, I'm looking at the board and I'm realizing like in tight end premium, it's 7. In non-tight end premium, it's 6 picks, where after that, I'm a little like, oh man, I'd rather just wait, can I trade this? Can I get something? Because like there's just a big old glob of players. I feel like from that middle of the first all the way to the middle of the second, like there seems to be a bunch that I'm not necessarily like as hyped on, or they're all pretty close. And it's those 4 running backs and those 2 receivers, and then in tight end premium, that 1 tight end that I put in that grouping.
Yeah,
it'd be Joe Mixon.
Yeah, my top tier of running backs are those 4 running backs, not in that order. It goes JT, Eckler, McCaffrey, Mixon, but those are my top 4 backs, and I have them in tier 1. They're tiered together as well.
Mixon going a little higher than and obviously in ADP, and we saw a really spectacular year from Mixon last year. Are there any concerns with him repeating that year, especially if he's going in first round?
I think it's likely he'll be able to repeat it. Not a lot has really changed for him in his situation. When we look at other running backs, that's typically how we try and evaluate. Okay, can we expect what we got last year? And a lot of the variables are the same for him. And I do believe in his talent. I think it's likely that we'll get some fluctuation here. Maybe he's not as efficient as he was last year, but I'm fine taking him. I don't know that I would take him that high, but I'm fine taking him there.
Well, when it comes down,
that's true.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Oh no, it's my pick. Oh no,
You need me to pause?
Nope,
you got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds. Maria said, "Hey, Justin, glad you're back."
Hey, what's up, Maria?
Glad you are back. We're so
happy
to have you back.
3-5 crew, man.
I know the 3-5 crew. They love you.
I call it Trey 5 crew because last time I was wearing the Trey Lance jersey, so it made it easier for me to remember.
I like that. A little spice to it.
Yes.
We got a question here from Josh. Josh asked, Trey just sent to me 12 team, I'm assuming super flex. Well, I won last year. I get Michael Thomas for Adam Thielen in the 2023 3rd round rookie pick. I think I'm going to take it. Thoughts? Justin, what do you think? Would you consider this trade? Michael Thomas for Thielen in the 2023 3rd round rookie pick.
Yes, I would consider this. And this is a trade I would do. Obviously, a 3rd round 2023 pick isn't as valuable in Dynasty. You're not really getting a superstar. It's more of a dart throw. And Adam Thielen is coming towards the tail end of his career. I want to say he's about 32 years old. I don't have the date specifically or the age specifically, but this is Justin Jefferson's team now. And any change to Kirk Cousins next year, Thielen's value is already kind of going down on the downward spiral. And Michael Thomas is 29, so he has prime years left. Give me Michael Thomas in that deal for the upside.
Okay, so you're taking Michael Thomas. Simon, you just made your pick, so you can help us decide. Which side are you taking here?
Okay, let me look. I wasn't looking at it yet because I was trying to decide here, and I'm not sure how I feel about my picks, but I'll hit that in a second. Michael Thomas for Thielen in the 2022 3rd. I'm keeping Thielen in the 3rd. I feel like especially if you won last year, you're most likely at least in a good position to compete this year. And Thomas, there's no guarantee that he does a single thing to help you win a title this year. I'm so concerned about Michael Thomas. I understand he's got the talent, he's coming back, but man, I just haven't seen it in such a long time.
Yeah, the reports aren't great.
I'll take touchdown Thielen. He's got a very real shot at a double-digit touchdowns again. It's what he does. But even if he underperforms, 6-7 touchdowns from him, I'll take Thielen in this deal, especially with the context he just won. That's where I'm going.
And Josh, you were on the clock, so I will spare you answering that. Scott said, me, Justin, Jamie Eisenberg, and JJ Zacharyson. New show, the Late Round Fantasy Gods game show. Tune in. Please don't do that. I fear that no one will watch us if you do.
But I'll bring some entertainment, and I like this guy, Scott Fish, man.
That's a good crew.
Collab, bro. I like the way you think.
And Scott Cope saying, JL, aren't you going to Boston to draft? I will be in Hawaii, so I'm not going to Boston.
Hey.
I entertained it for a second, but then I remembered I'm going away.
Boston and Hawaii are very similar, I've heard.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Weather-wise, culturally, they're all just, it's just feels like you're in Hawaii when you're in Boston.
Yeah,
especially in the winter.
Speaking of Scott Fishbowl 12, Scott asks, are you doing SFB 12 mocks the next couple Mondays? We are planning to do some SFB 12 mocks, so stay tuned for that. Yep, leading up to the draft. We absolutely will.
Right back to the Joe Mixon conversation, because I was actually making a point, and You guys, I could still hear all you guys, but obviously you couldn't
really?
hear me.
Yeah,
because JL just started like talking in between me. I was like, wait,
Whoops.
hold on.
I'm making a point. I'm talking
Okay,
here.
never mind. But to the Joe Mixon conversation, I have him projected for very similar points that he had last season. But he's my number 7 running back. And when it comes down to it, I look at the running backs in front of him. It's guys that missed some time last year. So I think he can have a very similar season to last season, right? Like Derrick Henry's one of them. But is that going to make him the 3rd or 4th overall running back? Maybe if he stays healthy, and that's what's going to come down to. That's what it comes down to with a lot of these running backs, right?
Yeah, for sure. You took Derrick Henry? Would you take any of the 4 running backs drafted ahead of Derrick Henry? How was I wanted to word that?
Would you take Derrick Henry?
Yeah, ahead of any of those 4 who went
Joe
out.
Mixon. Joe Mixon would be the one.
Would you take after?
Yeah, I would take Derrick Henry ahead of Joe Mixon.
Okay, good to know.
Personally, even in a PPR, I know there's probably a little bit more pass catching upside with Joe Mixon. There's more pass catching upside, not just there's more. But we know what Derrick Henry can do when he's healthy.
So at the end of now 2 rounds, Simon, you have Mark Andrews, DeAndre Swift. Josh, you got Derrick Henry, Devontae Adams. Justin, you got Travis Kelce and Saquon Barkley. This is a solid start for all 3 of you, in my opinion. All 3 of you.
Very anti-Simon start over here. Like it just, I feel uncomfortable every time I don't leave these first 2 rounds. Honestly, with 2 receivers and at least 1, like I just got so comfortable drafting that way that it always feels weird not going that route, right? And then the tight end early, I'm curious to see how this plays out. And I love whenever like Justin and I, our draft started very similarly. I love whenever that happens because then I can kind of watch the 2 teams and I can see, okay, we started similar. Let's see how these end up. Maybe this draft strategy or the way this board falls works better from the 5 spot where Justin is than the 12 or the 11 spot where I am. So I'm excited to see how that pans out. I know it wasn't done on purpose, but it's always one of my favorite things in these mocks to have like similarly constructed teams early.
Simon, I'll say DeAndre Swift there, I think was a great pick.
I had to take him there. I wanted to go receiver, but I saw him there. I had to take him.
He's one of the 7 running backs that I have projected over Joe Mixon, just ahead of Joe Mixon this year. And if you just look at their pass catching from last year, DeAndre Swift, he did not play. He played in 13 games, but he got 62 catches, 78 targets. Joe Mixon, on the other hand, he's not going to be that high a catch of a guy. 42 catches, 48 targets. Jamar, there's better offensive weapons with the Bengals, so it makes sense. But
yeah,
that Bengals offense to me, I like because the platform is still the same. The same receivers are there. The line just got better. It's like Joe Burrow just got healthier. And to me, there's a lot of upside with that. I do like a player that has not been drafted yet. I like him a lot this year in drafts, and I think he's going to have a really big season.
Who are you talking about?
Josh is on the clock.
T. Higgins.
No,
T. Higgins. I can see him having a monster year.
Highest.
I might fight you, Justin, if T. Higgins goes off the board before my pick.
Dude, this is right around the time.
Hold on, I'm trying to see my projections. Okay, I've got one guy projected ahead of T. Higgins,
but
this upcoming season.
To Gary and who else is in there? Gary and Twin.
Gary.
Man, I don't even like T. Higgins, but I'd be so sad if you took Jalen Waddle right here. Oh God, that would just destroy me. I'd
or Kenny
Galladay. It'd be quite the spectacle.
Oh,
okay.
Oh
no!
This isn't
the
happening.
other guy I wanted.
I'm very confident you're about to get sniped. I don't know why. I just
Gary's gonna do me dirty and take Terry McLaurin. I just know he's going to.
It's not Terry.
Not Terry McLaurin.
Simon, you were talking a little bit earlier. I wanted to drop one thing real quick. Before, I think it was easy to go, hey, running back, or receiver. Come into your drafts thinking I have to get a certain position. But over time, I've been playing fantasy for almost probably 25 years now. You want to draft best available player. Like if the draft is falling a certain way, don't feel like you have to chase a position. I have to get a running back now. Players will fall. The other picks, they have to start addressing those other positions too. So just take the best available player and watch the draft play out.
I'm with you, Justin.
100%.
I need to make this pick. God, where do I want to go?
Oh,
I don't want any of these players, not a single one of them.
That pick that went right in front of you, Simon, Michael Pittman, I lied to everyone. Keenan Allen, I have Michael Pittman projected for more points than T. Higgins. Now, I feel like there's a little bit more just overall safety with T. Higgins, and I know that sounds kind of weird because there's Jamar Chase there. There's more weapons, but I trust Joe Burrow more than I trust Matt Ryan when it comes down to it. That might sound crazy too, but I like Michael Pittman a lot this year. It's a new situation, though, for Matt Ryan coming into the Colts. I think it's going to pan out well. I think Michael Pittman's going to get a ton of targets. So
top 15 receiver this year. I'm just going to say it. He'll be a top 15 receiver, no doubt. I got him challenging for a wide receiver 1 spot.
He's my number 10 wide receiver projected wise. Like I said, I keep using my projections. That's not necessarily exactly where I would draft them, but if they play 17 games, that's more or less what I feel, you know?
If he would have taken T. Higgins, I would have taken Michael Pittman because those are my number 10 and 11 receivers on this year. T. Higgins at 10, Michael Pittman at 11. But I'm with you guys. I love Michael Pittman. And then Justin, to your point, 100% agree. The reason I got comfortable drafting like receiver heavy early was exactly what we were talking about. I was never a 0 RB guy. And then last year, I realized at the end of this first round, second round, that switch, all the value was at the wide receiver position in a lot of these drafts that I was going into. So I was leaving those first 2-3 rounds with heavy wide receiver, maybe a tight end. And it made me kind of develop the strategy. Now this year, we're back in that discomfort phase where I'm not quite sure what the draft board looks like, but trying to figure it out, trying to see what comes to you at different spots in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that point you brought up, Justin, about drafting best player available, because it's not only the draft, right? This game does not end at the draft. You got the whole rest of the season to make moves and set your team up. We had Matt Jackson here. I'm screaming at my computer, not getting Andrews at the turn. Simon!
Alvin!
Oh my gosh.
That's a second Chipmunks reference we had.
Really like the Andrews pick right there. I still think there's a little bit of separation between him and Kelsey, but in a tight end premium league, that's right where he belongs. Now, George Kittle, no offense to that turn pick. That's a little bit early for me, but was he going to make it back to your next pick? Probably not. So
and do
you want him, you got to take him there.
You guys think that Andrews, because one thing that I've noticed about Mark Andrews is he had a really solid year, but his season didn't turn into that tight end one season until Lamar Jackson got hurt. And we saw Tyler Huntley come in and play quarterback. He had some monster games towards the end of the season. I want to say it was like 600 total yards in the last 5 games. Do you think that Mark Andrews is still at that pace, even though Lamar Jackson is going to be the quarterback and obviously Hollywood Brown's gone? But Lamar Jackson is going to be the quarterback, and historically, Andrews hasn't been that tight end one type of talent when Lamar's been QB.
I guess I'll let Josh tackle this probably more in depth, or JL, one of those two guys. I know Josh has talked about it a lot on this show, but I do expect maybe some slight regression from him. But it does help that Hollywood's gone. The number 1 target on this team is gone, and Andrews already has the rapport with Lamar Jackson, maybe better than Bateman does or any of these other receivers that they've brought in. So I expect the volume to tick up, and maybe his efficiency is not as good as it was last year, but I still expect him to be, at worst, if he plays all 17 games, a top 3 tight end. I just don't see how in his position with his talent, if he stays healthy, that he's not a top 3 guy. There seems to be safety in that pick. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think there will be regression. I think we'll see some. I don't think it'll be enough. And I truly believe in Mark Andrews' talent. He's a good tight end. And so I think it's perfectly fine taking him here.
He's a great tight end.
Phenomenal tight end.
All the points that were made absolutely make sense. Justin, Hollywood Brown was Lamar Jackson, actually like one of Lamar Jackson's best friends on and off the field, like in both regards. And he was hyped, more targets were going to Hollywood Brown before Lamar Jackson got hurt compared to Mark Andrews. And then, Lamar got hurt. Mark Andrews was targeted a lot more. Yep. But at the same time, Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback than Tyler Huntley. He can throw a better deep ball, a much better deep ball. I'm not saying Mark Andrews didn't have some deep catches with Tyler Huntley, but maybe, a little bit less volume. But I when I say that, maybe not, because like I said, JL said, no more Marquise Brown. So I'm expecting relatively the same amount of volume. I think Bateman's going to take a lot of that as well. But I'd still take Kelsey. They're missing Tyreek Hill. I'd still take Kelsey over Mark Andrews.
I do have my concerns. A lot of people
are taking Mark Andrews over Kelsey right now, which is
that is the big thing. You've seen the ADP kind of switch where Kelsey was like the de facto number 1. It's Andrews now. I could see J.K. Dobbins being back, Gus Edwards being back, then leaning on that run game a little heavier too. So just a little note about Andrews.
Yeah, I mean his targets shot up this past season. So from 2019, he had 98 targets, 88 targets, and then 154 targets this past season. Massive jump up. He's number 1 in red zone targets, according to Player Profiler, with 20 amongst all tight ends. So that is significant. I do think that we'll see a little bit of correction here, but that's what you want out of your tight ends, is those red zone targets are super valuable. Why do you think everyone was talking about Dawson Knox in the middle of the season?
Because he's so
True that.
handsome.
Because he's so handsome. He's got a sweet name.
Yeah, because his last name is Knox. Like that's a badass name for an athlete.
Dawson
like
Knox.
Dawson Knox. That's a good name.
That is. It's a solid name.
It just rolls off the tongue.
We got Jordan in here saying, would you guys trade Josh and a 2027 fourth round pick for Scott?
Make it a third.
Oh, okay. Make it a third into the deal.
Wait. You're up in your side of the trade. You're making your side.
We'll pay you more. Please, just take him.
Someone's
Just
like,
kidding.
I'll give you Cooper Kupp for Debo Samuel, and you're like,
No.
take a third as well. No, I'm gonna take one of my thirds.
Yeah. Ain't giving out no deals. Ain't taking no deals.
Make it more fair.
See,
Carlos said, I just hear, but seeing CMC get drafted first triggers my fantasy PTSD.
Yeah,
It's fair.
Oh
It's
my
fair.
gosh.
that's why I wouldn't take him first. There's too much. I last year, two redraft leagues. I took CMC. I had the number 1 overall pick. I took CMC in both leagues, and I didn't win either of those leagues.
got
Believe it or not.
Believe
Which
it or not.
running back doesn't give you PTSD? That's what I want.
That's true.
Jonathan Taylor, not yet.
Gordon. Melvin Gordon does not give me any PTSD. That man has just been consistent.
Yeah, he was never like drafted as like the number 1 overall pick, you know.
Yeah.
So like he never had like quite like there was a ton of hype with Melvin. He was a first round pick in the past. So
Yeah.
but he was always like fine, you know. At bare minimum, he was playing and fine.
Yeah. We got a question from Carlos asking to hear our thoughts on James Cook, the Bills rookie running back James Cook. And are we nervous about the other running backs there? Those other running backs being Devin Singletary and Zach Moss not there anymore, right?
I think
He's
he's
gone?
still there.
He is
He's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he's
I
way
mean,
in
you're
the
not
back
going
of
to
the
see
shelf
him
now.
very much.
Yeah,
that's
primarily
you
Devin
can
Singletary.
pretend he's not there if you would like, and that's just fine. Real fast, like I'm nervous for the first year with James Cook. I think he's going to be a really good pass catching back. He's going to get a lot of targets regardless, but is that going to make him a startable fantasy asset? Not all the time. You know, there's plenty of really good pass catching backs that you don't even really necessarily want to roster. But in a PPR league, he's a good late round flyer because if he does get the carries, that's where he's going to, you know, if he can do both, that's where he's going to make his living.
Yeah, he's
Do you
got the
agree with
draft. He's got the draft capital you want third round, but Devin Singletary is in a contract year. They just brought on Duke Johnson to take on some of the pass catching roles. Zach Moss is a third round pick they had last year as well. So if he does happen to take some type of leap forward here in this offseason, he's going to establish some type of role. And Josh Allen is a factor in the red zone as well when it comes to rushing. So to me, I'm not overly investing in James Cook this year specifically. Dynasty, he'll probably take over as the RB1 next year. But for this year specifically, I'll wait until he's on waivers week 7, week 8, pick him up then when there's an injury or somebody gets hurt. But I'm not truly invested in James Cook this year.
I love that. I love that strategy in redraft, specifically for rookies, is wait a couple weeks, especially these ones that you don't think are going to pop off right away, right? The Alvin Kamaras of this rookie class.
Stinker, Gary.
Oh,
Brandon
Gary's
Cooks.
a stinker.
I was very much between Brandon Cooks and TJ Hawkinson. I'll explain when I get to my next pick, actually, more.
Okay. Justin, you took Josh Allen, followed by DK Metcalf, followed by Amari Cooper. How are you feeling about you got both of these receivers, DK Metcalf and Amari Cooper? Amari Cooper have been really the subject of a ton of conversation this offseason. How are you feeling about these guys? Do you feel like you got a value here?
Bring the risk. When it comes to fantasy, there's all the storylines, and I think that we've seen DK Metcalf be a second, third round pick. And now the questions at quarterback have him going in our draft in the 4th round. Amari Cooper, same thing. There's a lot of questions. Last year, he was supposed to be the guy taking the next leap. So obviously, I understand there's a lot of things going on in Cleveland that could change the dynamics of where Amari Cooper is being drafted. But to me, it's too much value, too much talent at this stage in the draft where we're going to start seeing a lot of wide receiver 2s come in. So for me, I'm scooping up the talent. I've already established the core with the tight end, running back, and quarterback position I feel good about. And so now I'm just going to stack up and take a little bit of risk because what they say, risk wins championships.
It's true. It's true. That's where you typically find that value is those risky or ambiguous situations, right? So I love that. Josh, how do you feel about that strategy? How do you feel about DK Metcalf and Amari Cooper here in the 4th and 5th round?
I mean, when you don't draft a wide receiver until the 4th or 5th round, you could do a lot worse, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous for Amari Cooper. If Jacoby Brissett is his quarterback all year, I'm just thinking back to that one Colts year where Jacoby Brissett was the starter with T.Y. Hilton. I had T.Y. Hilton on a couple teams. I drafted him before Andrew Luck retired. Sorry. Okay, PTSD.
Just had to let that one out.
T.Y. Hilton had like 2 good games the entire freaking season. Like, I know Amari Cooper's a completely different receiver than T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's a deep threat. You want to get him the deep ball. Amari Cooper's a great route runner, and he's going to make things happen. I'm not saying he's going to be T.Y. Hilton, but it's going to be his worst quarterback situation he's ever had if Jacoby Brissett is his quarterback, hands down. And that makes me really nervous. I would have drafted a guy like Brandon Cooks over Amari Cooper personally. That's all I'll say.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's interesting. Josh, you were on the clock, by the way.
Yeah.
If you need me to pause, let me know.
Brandon Cooks, to me, I love his value there. And to me, it was a debate between him, Amari Cooper, and probably the guy I'm going to get next. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later too.
Keeping that, you knew T. Higgins wasn't making it back to you. So you fine mentioning that.
T. Higgins, take him.
That's hilarious.
I guess I'll just do this. Like, it's a reach, probably, but I'm gonna just do it. Let's have fun, guys. Let's have fun. You know,
Maria said, Justin, you can't have been playing that long because that means you would have started when you were a baby. Did you start playing fantasy when you were a baby?
I wish. I'm almost 37, man. So
I started playing 37 years young.
Yeah, 37 years young. I started playing late 90s. Is when I started playing fantasy football.
That's 37's awesome. The new 11.
How does that make you feel?
Feeling angsty,
young at heart, you know what I mean? And so but fantasy hasn't changed. Like I think the dynamics of how we play the game has changed, but fantasy still remains the same. You got to have a lot of skill and a lot more luck. So at the end of the day, you got to have your guys stay healthy. You got to hope the coaches use them right. You understand game plans coming in, and you pick up the right players when it's time.
Right. No, absolutely.
Appreciate the comment though, Maria. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah. Showing the love. So Matt Jackson said, if I had realized TJ Hockenson would fall this far, I wouldn't go near Kittle. Took Kittle in the first pick of the second round. And I think that brings up an interesting point. We had 5 tight ends go in the first 3 rounds. It's very different than what you would see in a normal redraft league. How do you guys feel? When you look, like, take a step back and look at tight end premium strategy, how does that affect where you're drafted tight ends? Are you happy taking them this early? Is that like, are you targeting them this early like everyone else? Or are you more of I'm going to fade and wait a little bit for some value? Simon,
I'm going Kelsey or Andrews. Like, that's my main goal. Give me one of those 2 guys. And then if I miss, I'm probably not willing to spend the draft capital for Kittle, Pitts, or Waller if this is where they're going in those first 3 rounds. So at that point, it's going to become a different strategy, right? I want that elite tight end production. I'm probably going to take 2, maybe 3 high upside guys towards the end of the draft. Maybe some with like situations that could pan out week 1. Maybe like a Cameron Brate is a great tight end that you could grab at the end. Wait to see if Gronk signs, right? That's a high value tight end. You could grab Gronk as well. Maybe grab both those guys, shore up the Tampa Bay tight end room. You get whoever the starter is. So if I miss out on the top tier, which I view as only 2 guys this year that separate themselves, I'm punting. And then I'm going the like throw shit at the wall and see what sticks strategy. I'll grab a couple of them.
Yeah. Simon summed up essentially what I would do essentially in that situation. Mark Andrews and Kelsey. Then
I feel like there's 4 guys. There's 4 guys. I really like Kyle Pitts. And I think he's going to take the next level there with Mariota. And Kittle with Trey Lance as well excites me because a lot of times when you have the quarterbacks that scramble a little bit more, they tend to lean on their tight ends more than some of the other quarterbacks. Matt Ryan did not do that. And so I think we see with the transition, Mariota has supplemented a strong tight end before with Delaney Walker. And so I think we could see that replicated there in Atlanta. But as far as TJ Hockenson, I have my concerns about TJ Hockenson. I was actually doing a whole conversation about, Dalton Schultz or TJ Hockenson or just some of those mid-tier tight ends. And with all the targets, there's a lot of competition for targets in Detroit, more than people think. They drafted Jameson Williams.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
It's DJ Chark. Like, there's a lot.
Shark's there too. You're right.
There's a lot. Shark. So to me, I am a little bit more concerned about TJ Hockenson than a lot of other people.
So I can address that point. I actually was going to say I'll address this on my next turn, but TJ Hockenson, I was sitting there and I was like, I want Brandon Cooks, TJ Hawkinson, or Dalton Schultz. I should have waited. I probably could have gotten my choice of Schultz or TJ Hawkinson. They're neck and neck in my projections. But I mean, just look at TJ Hawkinson's stats when DeAndre Swift was on the field last year, when Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, he was getting close to 10 targets a game. Even if you drop that down, which my projections have it, 8 targets a game.
How many games did he play in?
Be a pretty productive. How many games did he play in, or play fully? Because
fully.
There was 2 games where he completely disappeared. But it looks like about 13 games when it comes down to it. And all of those games, except for 2 games, he had pretty solid outings. But, you can always make the argument of, like, do these, like, additional weapons, DJ Chark, Jameson Williams, they're deep guys. They're going to get targets. There's no doubt about it. But I think they're going to open up the field for TJ Hawkinson, if anything, when it comes down. And DeAndre Swift. I think Dalton Schultz and TJ Hawkinson are very close, though, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
We'd have to see Jared Goff throw for like 5,000 yards for all these guys to be relevant.
Can you imagine?
Which isn't no. I mean, he threw a lot last year, a lot more than you expect, right? A lot. And I don't think it's all about the yards; it's all about the attempts. So it really depends how good their defense is going to be in a PPR, right? Like for a tight end, you just want to see a lot of receptions. Touchdowns are going to matter, right? So. I don't know. I think TJ Hawkinson's going to have a good year. I trust in his talent a lot more than Dalton Schultz, even though Dalton Schultz proved it last year. He proved it last year. He's good.
That's true.
He's good.
Jordan asking, where do we rank Hollywood, Mike Williams, and Allen Robinson? He's very stuck between those 3. Justin, do you have a initial quick thought here between Hollywood, Mike Williams, and Allen Robinson? How you'd rank them?
100%. I would go A-Rob first, Hollywood Brown second, Mike Will third. And the only reason I took Hollywood Brown after A-Rob is because when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, as you saw, I took him, his value is going to drop significantly. You have to. And so A-Rob is going to be built into the role, a very strong wide receiver 2 role on a high-powered offense. And if anything were ever to happen to Cooper Kupp, his value turns into a top 3 to 5 wide receiver. So to me, you have to take not only the floor, but the upside there. And then with Mike Williams, he's just too inconsistent week to week. I think that offense, he has his role. We saw him at his best last year, and it was an inconsistent higher end wide receiver 3. I think that's where he sticks.
What do you think, Josh?
All I'm thinking about is how upset I am with my last pick that I just made. Like extremely upset. Like I don't even like Chase Edmonds that much. I don't know why I picked him. I freaked out. And
it happens.
Go into your plan, guys. Because
I don't know. Oh man, I do not like the wide receivers in this area of the board, and I am just sitting here like grossed out that I'm man.
I like how the whole conversation just turned with me.
I know,
that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me, Simon. That's what happened to me. I was sitting there. I was like, I want a wide receiver, but like I like these guys like down lower, like even like more than I do at the top. Like so, wait on wide receiver. And by the time I made that decision to wait on wide receiver, there was like 15 seconds left. I was like, oh no.
I guess back to what you were saying, JL. I tend to agree with Justin and disagree with you.
Okay,
when it comes down
I didn't
to
offer a point yet. So.
I never said you did. I
sense.
just know I disagree with you.
Sense.
Yeah, I never said you offered a point. I just know where you stand.
I would go Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, Hollywood is how I would rank those 3.
I believe that's what my rankings have as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so I guess you don't.
Yeah, I mean, my projections, I have Mike Williams by far the highest out of those guys.
Who was the third one? Hollywood.
No,
it would go Hollywood,
actually,
then Robinson for me.
Hollywood's pretty close. Allen Robinson's down there.
So we're not buying a rebound for Allen Robinson, playing with the best quarterback that.
I like Allen Robinson.
I have him at wide receiver 30.
That's just too low.
I've got him at 20. I've got him at 20. 20 is where I've got him. So him being third here isn't me being low on him. It's me being a bit higher on the other 2 guys. Like I've got Mike Williams at 18, and I've got Hollywood Brown at 16. So I guess I lied to you, JL. It would go Hollywood, Williams.
I have him at wide Robinson receiver 30, but like the wide receivers 20 to 30 are all within 14 points of each other, projected wise.
Yeah.
So like
all close.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah, if I like tweaked 1 touchdown towards Allen Robinson, it would probably shoot him to wide receiver 22. So it's close. It's very close.
It's close.
I don't know. I've never been really an Allen Robinson guy. I've never thought he was a wide receiver 1, but him in a wide receiver 2 role really excites me, especially in that offense, man. Just because we know Stafford, he's going to be throwing, and there's no clear-cut wide receiver 2 unless Odell comes back. Then that would be a concern for mine. But if Odell does not come back, he is the guy, and he carries the upside.
How do you rank those guys? Did you put Allen Robinson above Mike Williams and Marquise Brown?
I got Allen Robinson, Hollywood Brown, Mike Williams.
If DeAndre Hopkins was playing the first 6 weeks, I probably would have him behind Allen Robinson when it came down to it. I think those first 6 weeks are going to give him a little bit of a bump in production. And probably at the end of the year, if they're all healthy, in my mind at least, I think Hollywood Brown has a little bit more fantasy points than Allen Robinson. But again, Mike Williams would definitely probably be my number 1 here.
Yeah, out of that group. Scott Bishop, Woods was wide receiver 12 when healthy, weeks 1 through 9, and Beckham was wide receiver 13 when weeks 12 through 10.
Scott, we got to get this show on the road, bro.
3 p.m. Eastern time every weekday.
I've heard that a lot. I just don't love the Woods debate.
I know
honestly,
the Woods
no one wanted Woods for so long at the beginning of last season. He had a couple of good games.
Yeah, those points were backloaded between weeks 1 through 9. It was certainly the latter half of that period that he was
production
getting.
Is production. That's a
I
wide
have freaking
receiver
Chase
1.
Edmonds. Why the hell do I have Chase Edmonds?
He's still mad about it.
I don't want Chase Edmonds.
I'm not a little bit early for Chase, but he could be a deep sleeper. I think he disappointed a lot of people last year, but that's not a bad pick.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see if Treylon turns into what
I think Chase Edmonds is one of the more interesting players. I think we'll see. I think most people don't know what to do with Chase Edmonds.
Well, I think here's the most likely scenario. We're debating which Miami running back is it going to be? Who's going to be the value there? And the real answer is probably nobody. It'll be a pit, a void that sucks all fantasy points in, distributes them among all the running backs there. You can never predict who's going to be the guy with the touchdown any given week. Maybe we get some goal line clarity and you get that. But I've been sitting here like, who's the Miami running back I want? And I think it's just none of them. I think it's just or the latest one, whoever's taken last. Like if I can grab Sony Michel at the end of a draft, I'll take that more than Chase in the 7th or Chase in the 6th.
I think I like Sony Michel better than Raheem Mostert because I when it comes down to it, I think he is the guy that would be used at the goal line, in my opinion. And he looked pretty good with the Rams last season. He was drafted as a first-round pick. Maybe not the best pick in the world, New England, but I don't know. I think Sony Michel could easily have the most carries for this team. Chase Edmonds right now looks like he's going to be the pass-catching back at the very least. Yeah. And Myles Gaskin kind of thrived in that role last year. I say thrived. We expect this offense to be better, right? So
I hope so.
If the offense is better and Chase Edmonds is on the field over 50% of snaps, this is probably good value for him.
There we go.
I'm also not so confident in it.
Scott saying shocking Robinson continues to go so late. You figured at least one person in the league would believe he isn't washed. I've got him at wide receiver 20. I don't think that's washed. You know what I mean? That's a wide receiver 2.
That's a really interesting way to put that, Scott. He didn't make any points himself. He was just surprised like someone would take him, right? Like,
yeah,
he's not saying he likes Robinson. He's just saying it's like you figure someone.
I like that hedge all you can.
Yeah.
Simon, through what is this? What are we at now? 8 rounds. You got Mark Andrews, DeAndre Swift,
you don't
T.
have
Higgins,
to read it to me.
Ezekiel Elliott, Elijah Mitchell, Darnell Mooney, Dak Prescott, and Alan Lazard. What's the weakest part of your team, Simon?
Me drafting it probably.
It's manager.
Myself. Yeah, the manager is probably the weakest part of this team, I would imagine. It's the wide receivers, and that's very clear. And it makes me very uncomfortable looking at this team. I love building around a wide receiver core because I'm way more confident in my ability to find a long-term contributor on the waiver wire at running back. The injuries to the running back position create very clear waiver wire pickups. With wide receivers, it's not quite as clear. Know what I mean? If the wide receiver 1 goes down, if Alan Lazard goes down, I can't just all of a sudden be like, okay, now it's Christian Watson's time. Like that's going to go there. It could be distributed evenly between Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan and Christian Watson and Randall Cobb and all this stuff. So this is not how I like to build a team, but that doesn't mean it's not good. What means it's not good is the players on it. So the players I drafted make this not good. I'm just nervous. I reached on 2 wide receivers that I'm higher on just because picking at the end, I didn't think. Mooney. No, Mooney and Lazard. That's
Your
Higgins'
team's
ADP.
good, Simon. The players just aren't. Like,
Higgins, that's his ADP. Mooney, I was half a round early. Lazard, I was almost a full round early. I just didn't think I'd get either of them, and they were my highest rated receiver on the board at the time when I was making those picks. So I grabbed them.
Started reaching.
I guess
Higgins and Mooney picks were great value picks in my opinion.
The I think what's getting me is it feels like the value hasn't been there for some of my picks. Like Swift and Higgins, I feel like I got value on. The value's missing, and then my wide receiver core is not the strength of this team, which makes me uncomfortable waiver wire wise going into the season.
Yeah, that makes sense. If there's one pick you could undo, what would it be? Would it be?
I probably wouldn't draft Zeke. Right there, I probably would have taken like a Jalen Waddle or a DK Metcalf or a Cortland Sutton. Or Jerry Jeudy in that spot. And then I would have been so cool with Swift and Mitchell and then having Mooney be my wide receiver 3, someone I've got as a like potential top 12 guy. I think I would like this team so much more if I didn't go Zeke with that pick.
Yeah.
I think it's good value for Zeke though there too.
Yeah, it is good value for Zeke. I'm just looking at team construction. Like if I could replace Zeke with Waddle, I would like my team so much more.
Yeah. Because you got
to be a little worried about Waddle this upcoming season. A little bit, right?
Yeah, I guess Waddle was just one of the players. I'm thinking like that tier of wide receiver afterwards. I would have loved one more player in that tier.
Yeah.
It created more of a strength at the wide receiver position instead of you feeling like I have a weakness now, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. And that caused you to reach.
It's not that I don't like these players. I've got 2 top 12 wide receivers according to my rankings on my team in Higgins and Mooney. But then it just doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good
for Mooney there.
Yeah, Mooney top 12?
Mooney 12 and Deontay Johnson 13. I moved Mooney down and Johnson up.
Okay.
I like
it's a little higher than I like, but you know, we can talk the value.
Everyone has the same reaction to that. Simon loves saying it though.
He does.
Top 12.
I love when you say
Simon,
it too,
put a TikTok. Put a TikTok up with
Mooney. And then Justin ripped me to shreds. You know, that's
over a hip hop beat.
I have Mooney at wide receiver 23 myself, so it's like not like I think he's good too, man. 23.
What to me, you know, one of the areas that I feel like Mooney will lack in is there's really no help along the way. A lot of times you need help, and it's not like he's gonna have a ton of volume when it comes to Justin Fields. He's gonna throw, you know, between 300 and 3,500 yards. And so, yeah, in theory, it looks like there's going to be volume there, but he's also going to face number 1 coverage in a pretty tough defensive conference. Like to me, it just isn't an ideal spot for number 12, I would say, wide receiver 12. If you gave me back end wide receiver 2, Simon, I might agree with you a little bit.
You might play with me a little bit on that one.
Yeah, but back end wide receiver 1, I don't know, man. That's tough.
Get it.
Can
he was a back end wide receiver 2 last year, and for that was off of 140 targets with half Andy Dalton, partial rookie quarterback. I know this offense isn't looking great for next year, but you say he doesn't have any help. What help did he have last year? The 60 targets for Allen Robinson? Like it's Cole Kmet got 90-something targets,
Robinson's
but he's still
really
going to be
good,
there.
though.
I know, but he wasn't last year. We all saw him on the field.
But he will be this year?
What'd you say?
That's
I'm sorry.
No, that's kind of my issue with Allen Robinson, Josh.
We can discuss Allen Robinson.
I know.
I'm sorry. I just, we just had the Allen Robinson debate.
I'm with you, Josh. We don't have to get into it, but I'm with you.
That's why I'm hedging him down. I don't think he's completely
washed. I don't
forget the Mooney talk.
So
back to Robinson.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Seems to be what we do now on the show.
No,
non sequiturs.
I think Cole Kmet, his role will probably increase. He'll be the help across the field from Darnell Mooney. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it was for him last year. Like, I don't view Allen Robinson leaving as like all of a sudden this void of help for him. His target on the other side of the field, I guess, if we want to put it that way, is still there. That's Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet almost hit 100 targets last year. We'll probably hit that 100 target mark this year in my mind. And I just like both of those guys, Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney, taking a step forward this year. And if I project a step forward for them and a similar volume, it means he's up there in that like back end wide receiver 1, top end wide receiver 2 range for me.
Yeah, I think the thing that bothers me maybe about Darnell Mooney, or not bothers me, but makes me more hesitant to buy all into Darnell Mooney is that I think it's going to be easier for defenses to really shut down this offense without Allen Robinson. I think Darnell Mooney's volume is already very high, and then to take someone like Allen Robinson off the field or out of the equation, it's going to make it that much easier to shut down the offense. And I don't think Darnell Mooney is the type of talent that's going to be able to transcend that. So I'm a little bit more hesitant.
I don't do enough redraft drafts, guys. I'm
I know.
Like,
It's
I got to
kinda
do
tough.
more. Like I'm so used to. I like want to grab these guys. I'm like, oh, I love this guy, but do I love him for next year? Let's
Yeah.
see.
It's tough. The redraft is tough, especially when you've been doing dynasty all summer.
I know.
I
You get
know.
the dynasty
You have to
mindset.
kind of
I'm
change
such in a
mind.
dynasty mindset right now.
I auto
let's
drafted
see.
Christian Watson.
Nice.
I mean, that's fine. I probably would have picked him. So you want
not
to
a
trade?
bad pick,
You want
yeah.
John
Oh, I
Ross?
want Jordan. I basically just answered this question for you.
So
on the
Jordan
play.
asks, out of the wide receivers going from rounds 4 to 6, who has the best chance to take a leap into the top 12 receivers, like we have seen the last 2 years from Kupp and Diggs? So Simon, I'm assuming Mooney is your guy, your choice.
maybe
There's an easy answer.
4 through
I'd
6
say.
is a long range because there's some players in there that like one of the
Yeah.
Broncos receivers. Like if I
You
could
take
just
away
say
4.
That's one.
take away 4 and it changed it, but if I could just
Yeah.
say a Broncos
It's Mike Williams,
receiver,
probably.
Sutton or Judy, one of them with Russ could easily jump into the top 12.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
probably be my answer. But then Mooney's another option for me, obviously.
Yeah. I'm with you, Simon. I would have said that. And Mike Williams, right? I mean,
Mike Williams, I
He
think
was
is an
already
easy
top 12.
answer.
He was
Yeah.
already top 12, so there's no jump.
but I don't know if he made like a
Bateman?
Stephon Diggs, Cooper Cup kind of jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Juju, maybe?
I mean, he was top 12, I think, at one point, but that's the same thing as Mike Williams then.
Possible. Yeah, most
What about
likely.
Bateman?
No.
What about Rashad
Bate-
Bateman?
Bateman is almost who I brought up.
Yeah.
I'm
He
totally
He won't be
on-
a top 5 wide receiver. I don't think that.
top 5, no, but I think he could get in the top 12 with a very good season.
Yeah, sure.
I think
I
he
guess
has
most
top
people
12 upside. It'd be tough for him to get there just because the volume. I kind of see the same thing with Mooney in that
Mhm.
situation, but I feel like Bateman has a good chance. And then honestly, like when you look around, there's somebody either from Green Bay or from Kansas City is going to make the leap. Somebody is, whether
has
it's Lazard or Watson, as Simon's trying to get the stack. I like that.
It wasn't auto drafted at all for Watson.
I'm
Nice
giving
strategy.
you credit. Giving you credit. And then for Kansas City, it's either going to be Juju, MVS, or maybe even a guy like Mecole Hardman. You never know.
Maybe
or
Sky Moore.
Moore.
Yeah.
Sky Moore.
Moore.
That's the thing.
I'm
Like
with
that,
you. It's not.
there's so many options for these. It's like for Kansas City, you got Travis Kelce. You know he's locked in, and then there's like 4 guys. You're like, I can realistically see any of these guys. You know, kind of take that step. For Green Bay, maybe it's a little bit more straightforward. You know, a little more cut and dry. You got Alan Lazard, who looks like the most likely to do it, and then you got Christian Watson. I think it's going to be one of those guys that takes the next step. Probably Alan Lazard. And if Alan Lazard does it,
Man.
woo, Simon,
Don't
you're
sleep
valued.
on week
Woo,
one,
woo.
Sammy. Don't sleep on week
Oh,
one,
one,
Sammy.
We do.
I'm not sleeping on week
week
1, Sammy. I know what's going to happen week 1. And that's probably why you should draft him here. Draft him and then trade him.
Then
After
trade
week
him.
one.
Trade him
He
immediately.
didn't do so good last week 1.
I want Sammy to come out week 1, like step on the field, look like he's going to have that game, and then don't,
then
and then
not.
do it in week 2. Make
2 through
everyone
17.
rage drop him, and then in week
Yeah.
2 he comes out and he does the Sammy Watkins special.
That'd be
I
a
love
classic
it.
Sammy.
He's
Classic.
Because you
still
know
wearing his-
everyone will
his
drop him
Ravens
after week
jersey in his picture on Sleeper, Sammy Watkins.
I really wanted to get his Ravens jersey, even though I knew he wasn't going to be there another year, just for the Clemson Baltimore connect. Maria said, if you don't like this video, Scott will ban you from SFB. So I've heard. That is true. I've also heard that.
And if you dislike the video, he'll make sure you get an
He'll
invitation.
100% give you a spot. in SFB.
Thumbs down
Damn it.
across the board.
Yeah,
As
dude, what
everybody
do we just
gets
do to
into Scott
ourselves?
Fishbowl.
One of my favorite Scott comments ever was when he came in. He was like, "Make sure to like the video, and the thumbs up and down button do exactly the same thing, so you
Yeah.
can click either one." Just like, just came in immediately throwing that.
How do
out
we
there.
explain to YouTube? No, we're just joking. We're just kidding. Don't bury our videos in the rankings, please. Z2 said, who wants to trade me a running back? Anybody want to trade
Speaking
Z2
of-
running back?
Let's
You
get it.
want Chase Edmonds?
Mecole Hardman. Chase Edmonds is on the block.
What do you got, Z2?
Yeah, I'll trade
Give
you
me
Zeke for
AJ Brown for Chase Edmonds.
That's fair.
Chase Brown from my 12th round pick.
I'll trade you
Scampers.
Zeke for Justin Jefferson.
There you go. That's a good
Z2.
deal.
Yeah, that's solid
Mr.
deal. Solid deal.
Mr.
across the
Scamper
board.
said, speaking of Mooney, how do you wipe your bum? Classic Josh non sequitur fashion here.
Also, I know we went past these a way long time ago, but I missed the comments. I'm not going to scroll all the way up. But Jay said, "Why do you guys not say the same to me when I say I'm 35 about Justin?" And then
you
Mr. Scampers came in and said, "Jay, you look like a baby." And then said, "Sorry, I'm not good at compliments."
That didn't really do it.
Where are they? They're so funny. Those were some of my favorites.
Sorry, I'm not very good at compliments.
Yeah, there we go.
This
Jay,
was-
you look like a baby. I'm bad at compliments from Mr. Skinner.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Scott said, I left for 38 minutes. Glad to hear you are still talking about Allen Robinson.
I'm never talking about the Bears again, or I feel like
No.
it's going to just suddenly Allen Robinson's
Bears-
going to come up.
Bears show, yeah.
This draft is just a mess, man. Like I'm so upset.
Josh, I feel like you and I have never been so tilted.
I've never been so tilted doing one of these mock drafts. Never. Like I hate this mock draft. I hate it.
There's a lot of pressure because we got to look at these teams again now. We got to go back and I know you made every single pick, none auto drafted. So I'm going full force on these teams. When we have to rank, we have to rank them out of 10. I don't think it's any of them getting past 5, in my opinion, man.
No team, not even your own?
Just the FYF teams. Mine's over 5 for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd give mine above a 5 right now. It's not my favorite team I've drafted. But you know what? Sometimes, like those teams that you got to sit on a little bit, sometimes leaving a draft uncomfortable isn't a bad thing, right? Because it means maybe you didn't do like draft plays you're comfortable with.
Mock.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a point, too. I think even in regular seasons, like if you think about it, sometimes the teams that you don't have the most confident in are the ones you're the most active with, the ones you're trying to make trades, you're trying to pick up players. You draft a great team, you love all your guys. Week 1, week 2, when you have to drop one of those, I'm holding on to them guys, and they don't pan out, you might have found the waiver wire Cordell Patterson win the league type play.
Yeah. That's a great name to invoke with that point, too. Because that's one that no one could be like, oh, yeah, I was totally in on Cordell Patterson.
No, Cordell Patterson, James Conner, and Phillip Lindsay will like those are the 3 names. Like whenever I think about like running backs that I've gotten off the waiver wire that have just changed my season entirely in leagues where I got them, those are the 3 names that come to mind. Because the year those guys broke out, all of them were just waiver wire guys. All 3 of those guys you could have grabbed off. Oh no, oh shoot. Okay. What do we want to do?
Maria said, this is why I mock.
Oh, JL, can you give me more time, JL?
Yeah.
Seriously, mock drafts are so freaking important. Like, if you have a draft coming up, do a couple of these mock drafts, even if it's not with real people and it's just using ADP to determine it.
Is that how you want it?
You're gonna get an idea of like what you're looking for. So, mock drafts, like, always do it. Always do it. It's always worth it.
And they're fun too. Like mock drafts are fun. I don't care what anybody says. Even you have to get one like this though, where there's actual live people, because playing against the bots isn't fun.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better.
But when you can actually get a feel of, in the 4th, 5th round, the running back's position just dries up, or, hey, I can't just wait on receivers. It's so good to take a chance. And like I went tight end premium. I never take quarterback early, but because it was a mock draft, I said, let me see how this team would look if I took Josh Allen early.
Right. And just how Simon and Josh are both unhappy with certain decisions. You don't want that to happen in a real draft, right? You don't want to leave a real draft making a mistake.
I take back what I said. I'm looking back at my team after my last 5 rounds. I actually really like my team. My wide receiver core is weak, but I feel so secure at running back with Swift, Zeke, and Mitchell. Like we're good to go. Like for the season. Maybe there's an injury I got to figure it out on the waiver wire, but I'm not predicting with that. And then we went with I got a bunch of high upside wide receivers down here at the bottom. Lazard, pretty safe, but there's some upside that he moves into it. Then between Watson, Claypool, Bell, and Williams, just load up on some of these rookies. Hope I get a hit out of at least one of them that can fill that weekly flex spot, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah. Not
my best team, but I like it more than I did before with the way it finished.
We had a question here. Are there hooligan fanatical fans in American football and basketball like in Europe? In Europe, smoke flares are thrown. Chairs are sometimes burned and beaten. The chairs are beaten? Yeah,
don't beat the chairs.
Don't beat the chair. There's an entire NFL fan base that has a reputation for like just suplexing tables. So
Buffalo
Bills Mafia.
They're actually a really good fan base. I wouldn't call them necessarily hooligan fanatical fans, but they're
strong. They're strong fans.
Plenty of them. They're strong fans.
I will say in the UK, from my understanding, there is a whole subculture around like football hooligans, like soccer hooligans. I don't think we quite have that same kind of like subculture in the US surrounding football, but that doesn't mean there's not crazy fans. Like when Philly won the Super Bowl, that city just about burned to the ground. Like there are people that get excited for their sports and go wild.
Guys, I live in Northern California. Northern California, and I've been to the Battle of the Bay. I don't know how many times. Raider fans are like none other.
Raiders
are crazy.
The Raiders are the answer to this question. The Las Vegas Raiders. Yes.
Yeah, Raiders fans are wild.
They are fanatical.
San Antonio is like all Cowboys and Raiders fans. That's what we got. Like the Texans, they just said, forget that. Get that Houston garbage out of here. It's like Dallas or Las Vegas here.
The Raiders fans, they literally dress up. You know, they're ready to go, and they're nuts.
They are.
The Raiders, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. The attitude is the same throughout the whole time. All they're doing
pure screaming.
There's 40% of them that just go there to scream. There's another 60% that just go there looking to punch anybody that they find.
Anybody. Doesn't matter if it's another Raiders fan. They just literally anybody.
Oh my gosh.
And Maria said one stadium has a jail. I bet you most do. At least a little holding area.
Yeah.
Most places have a little jail. I remember one time we went to Cedar Point with my wrestling team, and one of the kids thought he was a real badass and tried to steal a soda. And so they put him in the little Cedar Point jail, but it was in the kids area, which was Charlie Brown themed, right next to a giant Snoopy statue. And this was a kid that like really thought he was a hard ass, right? Like all the time. Like you couldn't even joke with him. He was like, no, get that shit out of here. But we mocked the hell out of him for being
deep of a voice.
He was in Snoopy jail for a day. We just like the rest of high school, we mocked him about the time he went to Snoopy jail. Like, oh yeah, he got his credit, Snoopy jail.
That's funny.
It was pretty
Scott
funny.
said Philly has a jail. I think that's the only NFL one. That would make sense. Philadelphia fans are insane.
They're different than Raiders fans. They're
different. They're way less fun.
They're going to get
fans.
upset with anyone and everyone if they're losing, including their own teams.
Ben Simmons left Philly just for that reason.
Yeah.
They're nuts.
Justin,
they had to go in a much different way.
Yeah.
Justin, we have finished up this draft, and I know earlier Jay said, I know we're not playing a game, but Justin's going to win, and I think you did. I think you did.
The chat decided Justin won. 66% liked his team the most. 33% Josh, 0% Simon.
Oh, yeah, there we go. No one voted for me.
Well, it's a little risky, you know. I think you had to take some risk, and I didn't get the running back depth that I wanted, but at the end of it, I know for a fact that I'll be able to pick up a running back throughout the season. So went a little light at running back.
Yeah,
exactly. And trade Josh Allen, and I can get a receiver or running back if I need to.
Yeah, love that. Love that move.
And Jay said I was correct. Justin won, and Z2 saying he voted for Josh. You guys, that is going to be it for our show today. A big thanks to Justin for coming on and streaming with us, mock drafting with us, and imparting us with some of that knowledge. For those of you that do not already follow him, it's not too late to fix it. In fact, you got plenty of time, but I would recommend this time right now, go fix it at Justin Henry with a 3 instead of an E on Twitter. Make sure to follow him over there. There's a link in the chat.
If you're auditorily have trouble, I don't know.
Just click on it. It's
just
that easy.
Just click the link. Copy.
There's a link in the description too. So lots of links.
You got so many
everywhere.
Links.
Check your pocket. There's a link in there too.
Guys, I appreciate you so much for having me on. I gotta come on here more often, man. I know you don't like me winning mock drafts and winning the game shows, but I gotta come on, make this more frequent, man. Once a month, once a quarter, once a week. Once a day, it's good.
Once a day, I love it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Like, why are we playing him in a game? I need to be.
Yeah, we need him back on.
Wind it back. We're playing pole perception. Let's do it. I'm just kidding, guys.
1 more hour.
That is going to be it for us this afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time with some more fantasy football game show fun. So make sure you guys tune in then. Another big thanks to Justin and thanks to everybody in the chat and those who drafted along with us. Be on the lookout for the mock draft review coming out this week. It's I feel bad about my team, so I'm probably going to try to make you feel bad about your team too. I'm just petty. So we'll see how that goes. Guys, until tomorrow at 3 p.m., we're out of here. Adios, everyone.
Bye.
Trading makes fantasy fun.
Travis T. Maria.
Outro.
Travis
there
T.
it is.